Hey everybody, it's I don't know, around 5:30, quarter to 6 on a Tuesday evening in Cusco. I'm up in the San Blas neighborhood right now, and honestly I'm just kind of bored, and I thought I'll go out and do a little evening night walk through central Cusco. Let's just see what it's like and maybe do a little talking along the way, so come along with me. And obviously if you're seeing this, I thought it was good enough to go ahead and post, so enjoy it and let's see what we find.
Ese bien que tengo. Era tal y tenían dos perros grandes, un lobo siberiano.
¿Tú crees que... Ya, ya, ya.
Okay, I really hate this climb, but I'm gonna make my way up to the Mirador.
Share the picture.
Send the pictures, huh?
Yeah, we will. We have a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Have fun the rest of the day.
Yes.
Enjoy, relax, sleep,
Yeah.
rest.
And getting better, huh, Noe?
Yeah, getting better.
Oh, zien we je niet meer een tijdje weer.
We'll see you soon. Wel
Ja.
terug.
May, June, July, August, of 4 maanden weer.
Not too long.
We doen wel bellen met video.
Yes.
En voor u vind ik zo zou je terugkomen in september?
Hou van jou.
Never see you.
Hou van jou,
See you
daddy.
later.
Doei.
Jullie dank huilen.
Oh, hou van jou. Doei, doei. Geniet nog maar, jullie. Jullie hebben hier dit andere kind nog gehad.
Good trip.
Ja.
Bye.
Ik ga weer. Thank you for everything.
Ja, jullie bedankt. Zo mooi dat jullie er waren.
Last time I was up here in the day, I had to take a break. I'm not sure why it's any different now, but definitely a lot easier to climb up. Not nearly as out of breath. Okay, now I'm out of breath. I'm gonna go a little higher where the lights are a little prettier. For some reason, this lower terrace has glass all around the view.
Dit was een soort appelke.
The Mirador is starting to fill up with people. It's about 6 o'clock now, at least the lower level. As I said in my daytime video up here, the restaurants that overlook the Mirador have unbelievable views because they have nothing blocking the overlook. I maybe should have timed this a little better and gotten here later when the lights are a bit more beautiful. It is, after all, incredibly clear. At least the air is. But that's okay. Maybe another time. And I'm going to go up to San Cristobal and do some filming up there. And by then it should be much, much darker. Walking this little street in the daytime kind of makes me nervous. Lots and lots of graffiti, which is just as ugly as could be, but not many people come here. And I still have memories of when there used to be reports of robberies up here in Upper San Blas, but I'm going to go for just a little bit. The good thing about walking up here is that there are lots of cameras everywhere. That's part of the reason why I shouldn't worry. Hola. I'm going to make my way down to Tandapata, where I know there will be a lot of pedestrian traffic and don't really have to worry. There'll be lots of people. It's much safer. There are even more cameras down here, so anybody that wants to rob someone is going to stay away from a place which has a lot of security cameras. Too much traffic, though. You'll see why that's a problem in just a moment. So you can see this is a really narrow street. I don't even know if there's room for me to walk past. In fact, there's not. The driver of that van was nice enough to, when he saw me waiting, let me come around on the driver's side where there was a little more room. See, down here on Tandapata, I don't even worry about this little dark stretch. Just too many people and too many cameras. I feel quite safe here. Kind of surprised how dark this section is. With all the hotels and restaurants and more hotels along here. You think they have lights out front because people come in at night looking for their hotel after traveling not just from Lima but from their home country, then to Lima and then to Cusco. But it's surprisingly dark here. Oh well, again, as I said, along here, I don't know, maybe it's just because this is Cusco's home, but I don't worry in the least walking along here no matter how dark it is, to a point.
Buenas noches.
I wonder if this group is are the ones who blocked me from going up the steps to the middle earlier. Saw me standing there waiting and just stood there. But as I've said in other videos, you get tourists who are complete assholes. No, different language. That's another group. And they didn't block anything, so no reason to say anything about them. The artist is here. He's got some really good work. I've never bought anything from him because I don't buy art, but he sets up here and is out here every day almost. Some really pretty stuff.
No, no es problema, por favor. No, no, ese está mal. Ese está mal particular.
Ya pasó ya.
No, sí, ya está.
This is where Tandapata makes a turn at Zapatiana. It's the big Zapatiana Waka, or sacred stone to the Incas. That's what this big stone is here. Down or upriver is the aqueduct, but I'm not going to go down there today. In the daytime, this is full of people. I'm surprised this corner's not lit up. People would be here taking pictures now because it's really beautiful. With all the flowers. Used to be plain and barren, but now it's probably the best and most popular backdrop for photos in all of Cusco. This is Calle Siete Borguitos, or 7 little sheep. Or 7 little lambs, maybe that's a better way to put it. This street, during the pandemic, had a few plants outside, a few flowers, but they really worked hard to pretty it up. And now it is extremely popular. Oh, lights are on. That's good. You get to see it a lot clearer. Almost at the top without a break. Whew. I still might take one. If you take the right, this little road leads up to Sacsayhuaman, and you can continue on up to Cristo Blanco, Cusco's smaller version of Jesus, like the one that's over, is it Sao Paulo or Rio? No, it's over Rio in Brazil. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's up there on the upper right-hand side. I'm going to instead go to the left and then make a quick right to San Cristobal. This is Cai Pumacurco. Farther down it turns into Cai Hirajes, but I'm not going to make that climb down there. Instead, I'm going to go up this little short street, and in a couple of minutes I'll be at San Cristobal. Food delivery on motorcycles like that guy is very, very common here. I have no idea what it costs because I just go get stuff myself.
Ah ouais, mais c'est comme ça que t'as de la main d'œuvre pas chère, gros.
Whew. Not as tired as I could be, but I made it. Everything else, until it's time to go home, is downhill. Kind of have to watch out for traffic. Well, I haven't seen that little tourist bus in quite a while. All right, up ahead is the San Cristobal Church and San Cristobal Plaza, where some pretty views over Cusco. There's not many people up here, but I guess it is a Tuesday night. Can you see the Plaza de Armas down there? That's where I'm gonna make my way and then walk around the plaza at night. Some pretty views up here. It's a shame the bell tower's not open in the evening, but the views are even prettier from up there. But I'm gonna take the steps down to Calle Respalosa, which in English means slippery street. And trust me, when it rains, that's exactly what it is. I always hate crossing this street. You can see good to the left, but there's a curve to the right, and you just have to listen and hope you're not stepping out in front of anyone. This is Calle Respolosa, or Slippery Street. It's pretty steep, but it's a lot better going downhill than it is coming back up. It is pretty, and it's definitely a colonial street. There's nothing Inca about this. I don't think there are even any Inca wall sections along here. But it's very much a Spanish colonial street that's probably been here for 300-400 years easily. Hope I get this video framed up good, because it's hard to look at the camera screen and walk at the same time. Can you hear the violin sound? That's coming actually from the opposite side of the plaza. There's always people performing next to the Jesuit church. I don't know if it's the same two guys, but there's always someone there in front of the souvenir market. I don't know if you noticed, there's a little police station on the left side that I just passed. I just realized it used to be a kindergarten. I know that's probably not too interesting to you, but since all of this is basically my neighborhoods, I find it interesting. It's always interesting when things change. I rarely, if ever, go down there in the daytime, and never at night. It's where all the clubs are. It's pretty wild. You can see police already down there. It's a little calmer now with the current mayor, but it's still crazy. And I know this week on Sunday morning, several of the news outlets had some photos and video of the local drunks passed out all over the street here and other areas close by. And I'm going to go down Calle Suecia to the left and make my way to the plaza.
Oli.
Pretty crowded, to tell you the truth. I guess because it's early evening now. I'm not gonna look at my watch while I'm walking, but I'm gonna guess 6:15, 6:30. There's a couple of clubs that have already closed down here because they didn't have any kind of license. In fact, I just passed one that's still open and playing music inside. It won't last long. They'll make some money selling beer. And then the Serenazgo, that's the local security, and the Cusco police will eventually shut them down. Just about 50 meters from the Plaza de Armas. Looks like kids are getting out of school. At least some of the schools. Schools here, at least a lot of them have two different time periods. There's a morning group, they go home around lunchtime, and there's another group that comes in around 1:30 in the afternoons. That's kind of general times, but that's basically how it works in a lot of schools here. Very few, or I shouldn't say very few, but not a lot go all day long like they do in other places around the world. All right, Plaza de Armas. To the right is Portal de Arenas. Used to be where you've got grains. Arena means flour. And it's where we would get things so they could make chicha and other grain. What would you call it? Drinks that required grain back in the early Spanish colonial days. Portal de Carnes on the left is where there were lots of meat shops. Now it's known mostly for McDonald's, the Inca Rail office on the plaza, and KFC fried chicken. Stands next to the cathedral with the Jesuit church on the opposite side of the plaza. Kind of surprised that they just really don't do much for lighting of these. In fact, they don't do anything except for the bell tower in the cathedral, bell towers. There's so much potential for some beautiful, beautiful lighting of the two churches, but I've never understood why they don't. In another month, this will be jam-packed with people who have been off on their day tours, coming to the plaza to look for something to eat in these really expensive restaurants. Back during the early days of COVID, when things were just opening up and everyone had to wear a mask, there were a group of us who would meet out here all the time. There were 4 Venezuelans looking for customers outside of their restaurants. There was Ray, Manuel, Let me see. Antonio and oh, I can't remember the other guy's name. I see him quite often. Only Manuel and the guy whose name I can't remember still work here. So I'm gonna make my way down to the fountain in the middle of the Plaza de Armas. I may come back and do this again on a Saturday night when the locals are all out here. Right now, it's just a weeknight and things are frankly slow. On Saturday night, because most people only have Sunday off, it's jammed full of people. They don't even light up the fountain. That surprises me because it could be so beautiful here, but there's just not much here. Oh, I was going over to hear the two guys playing next to the church, but they stopped. They were playing Despacito, which I've heard them play before, but it always gets a crowd because it not only is super well known, it's just a great song. I know a lot of you folks who don't listen to Spanish music have no idea what Despacito is, but for a while it was the most popular song in the world.
Café, sándwich, café.
Believe me, this camera pretty much sees in the dark. The cathedral over there is so much darker than it looks like on your screen. Gosh, it could be so beautiful. One day I'll ask someone why I go in the church. No one may know, but I've seen other churches lit up. Okay, back on the tour. For what it's worth, you can see lots and lots of vendors selling all kinds of things. Across the street, and I don't think I'm going to go that way, is my office, Starbucks. They were laughing today when I went in. Said, I think your office is, or your desk is clear, because I always use the one in the upper right-hand corner because it doesn't have a window, and so no one wants to sit there. But it's great for me to work and have good internet, place away from everyone, place away from home where I can put on some headphones and get some things done. So now I'm going to go up Calle Triumph Street, because this is where the last battle in Cusco was held when the Emperor Manco Inca decided in, say, 1536 that he really didn't want to be a puppet like he'd been for 2 years, like the Spanish intended him to be, since he was an installed Inca ruler and had no power, of course. So he led a revolt quietly, setting things up, and they burned much of the city down, if not almost all of it. The few Spanish that were here hole up inside the Templo del Triunfo. It's called that now because that means the Triumph Temple. They held up in there. The Incas tried to burn the place down. And I think at one time it even had a straw roof, but don't quote me on that. They caught on fire like many of the roofs did. But somehow the Spanish survived and eventually chased the Incas out of Cusco and down into Ollantaytambo, and then they chased them into the jungle, where it took, I want to say another 35 years before they finally, there was a long time with a very tense truce, basically, and then finally they just gave up. And okay, this is where it gets crowded. I'm gonna make my way up the calle to the 12 angled stone in the next block, and then back up into San Blas again. There's still a lot more to show you. Some really cool stuff, actually. Traffic this time of the day or night is always heavy. Molly's Irish Bar opened 2 weeks before things shut down during the COVID pandemic, and it was a long time before it opened again. Serious bad luck, but since it's kind of a chain and they have fairly big corporate backers, it survived.
Effectivement, c'est peut-être.
Trust me, in another 6 weeks, this will be a middle of the night crowd because it'll be the height of the tourist season, and you just cannot imagine how big the crowds will be. It's relatively slow and calm right now. This is Calle Herajes that I'm going to cross. Remember I showed you that from looking down way up the top after I climbed up Calle Siete Borguitos. This is the same street when it got down low, or gets down low. On the right is the Archbishop's Palace. It's now a museum. Pretty interesting museum. Fortunately, all these vendors are not here, at least in the morning when I come through here. That Inca wall on the right-hand side is famous. It is the only extensive, for lack of a better phrase, megalithic wall. Megalithic, a lot of people misuse that phrase. It actually just means big stones. They like to say it's concrete. You hear all kinds of garbage on the internet, especially on YouTube and Facebook. But it's pure granite. Comes from a quarry about, if I remember right, about 35 kilometers. No, it's more than that. Anyway, it's quite a ways down the valley. See if any of my friends are working along here tonight. Everybody likes to get pictures of this stone. It's a 12-angle stone, and they make a big deal out of it, but they're actually stones with many more angles in them. There's lots of myths about it, all completely made up, of course. Hola, amiga. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien. Estoy paseando. Otra vez aburrido en la casa. Princesa, ¿no?
Ella es Roxy. Princesa está aquí.
Roxy.
Chofer está allá.
Ya, chofer. Yo recuerdo chofer. Chofer más blanca.
Ah, sí.
Roxy,
Roxy,
¿cómo estás?
saluda, hija. Cuando les dicen Roxy, dicen los también.
Hola, Roxy.
Ay, mentira, hija. Te estoy bromeando.
Hola, Chopper.
Ella ya está.
Chopper.
Ella ya está en.
¿Cansado?
35,
Sí.
40 euros.
Un gato aburrido.
Tengo un gato que quieres dormir siempre. ¿Usted también? Sí.
A ti.
Had to stop and visit with Maria and the folks there. The elderly woman is always up above her. The dogs, I know them all except for Roxy. I've met Roxy before, but I haven't seen Roxy in a long, long time. Pretty much looks exactly like Princesa. Chopper I've known the longest, but Chopper, I can tell the difference because Chopper is the only one that's mostly white. I've got another friend who works down there. Her name's Asunta. The shop is named after her. Hadn't seen her in, gosh, a year and a half maybe. And then I ran into her on the street just a week and a half ago, which was great to see her. It's been so long. Really, really nice. She has a baby, which is now about a year and a half, 2 years old. Her husband works at one of the shops that I just passed. I see him quite often because he still works there in the mornings, but they're really, really nice couple. Known them for quite a few years. Now let's go down here and see if Juana's working tonight. I bet not. She has a shop up here on the right where the lady is trying on a cap. Oh, she's here. Creo que es mi amiga Juana. I strongly recommend that you stop off and visit Juana in her shop. And this shop here has some of the most beautiful paintings you'll ever see.
Para usted voy a empacar puros grandes.
Estoy filmando. Look at the, oh no. The people watching this don't understand. Ellos no entienden en el video.
No,
Es muy bonito.
tienes que explicar en español. Usted sabe hablar español.
Yo puedo, pero ellos no entienden. I'm so used to speaking Spanish that I was talking to her in Spanish about all these pretty paintings.
La galería
She
de
has
mi
so
amiga, sí.
beautiful, beautiful pictures here. Pinturas increíbles. Okay.
De mi amiga, así dile.
This is Calle Choquitaca, and that street is Cuesta San Blas. It's famous with the tourists for being really, really steep. Used to be super slippery, but 2 or 3 years ago they redid the street, changed the plumbing underneath. If I film all the way, you'll definitely hear me breathing hard by the time I get to the top. Cuesta San Blas is a cool street. Lots of shops, of course. A few restaurants, 1 or 2 hotels up here. But it's known mostly for being a super steep, killer street for foreigners and anyone who lives at sea level to try to climb at over 11,000 feet.
个livestream 哦。
You can see the sidewalks aren't very big, so people have to wait. Whew, I haven't gone very far and I'm already out of breath. I'm gonna have to take a break in a minute. If you notice, I weave back and forth across these little streets. That's pretty much what you do, depending on where the easiest path of least resistance is along the sidewalks. That's the side that you go to. All right, a little break helped.
Sim, né? Só que infelizmente Cusco é pequenininho.
Pra quem era religioso.
No space to walk. That taxi wasn't going to wait. This, by the way, is San Blas again. I'm not far from where I started. Maybe 150 meters or so. Whew. This is all Spanish colonial. These old stones on the right, they're Inca stones, but they were reused. Like lots of Spanish buildings reused them.
Era el arco de fútbol.
Echaron a todos, estaban ahí. Y todos estábamos alrededor.
This street's Carmen Alta. I never go down there because it is all tourists and just a little bit too much for me. But back behind is the San Blas Church, and the street going the opposite direction is just called Carmen Baja. What they mean is High Carmen and Low Carmen. I have never been inside the church here. For about 3 years it was closed while they were doing remodeling on at least the roof, I know, because you could see them working on it for a long time. And this is Plazoleta San Blas next to the church. The church was actually built not for the Spanish, but for the indigenous peoples who lived up in this area and did basically all the labor for the Spanish. Just up ahead is the fountain where it all started this evening. And I'll be honest, I'm shocked that it's off. It's kind of sad because when the lights are working, they have a rainbow display and it is really, really pretty. Well, that's it for this evening. I hope you enjoyed this little jaunt through central Cusco. It's been fun. I got to see some friends and I enjoyed it. I usually don't get out here in the evenings because obviously, as you saw, there's lots and lots of tourists, a lot more than I like dealing with. They test my patience way too much, most of them. So anyway, thanks again for coming along with me. If you like it, hit the subscribe button, and there's a little like button too, but I can sure use some subscribers. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.